Okay. Breathing exercises, everybody. Let's inhale together. And hold it. Exhale. After I experienced 5 strokes, 17 heart attacks, 42 aneurysms, and 1 episode of the most red-faced, guttural screaming through a television at an officiating crew I've ever been through, Baylor won that dang football game, y'all. I mean, wow. And I have never had such a conflicting mix of emotions after a Baylor football ranked road win. Let's just break it down really quickly, okay? Sawyer Robertson, the man. Told you so. Josh Cameron, even more so, the man. Michael Trigg, hope you're okay, bro. We need you. Dave Aranda, I don't know. I mean, how is it possible for a team to look so mentally tough and simultaneously so unprepared to play football in the first quarter of any freaking big football game? How is it possible for a top 5 defensive coordinator in the sport to not have a defense prepared to play defense, prepared to tackle, or competent to do anything? I don't know. Jake Spavital, the man. Big 12 Conference, in trouble. Baylor in the Big 12 Conference. Still one of the 2 or 3 teams that can win it. I think so. It's a weird feeling today, but we've got a great Sunday evening here together on Please Bear With Me. Terrence Ganaway about to jump in with me and give his thoughts. Terrence thought we were going to lose in Dallas. I told him we were going to win a close one. I was right. It's not often I'm right about football more than Terrence Ganaway, but I'll take this one. Take this one graciously, humbly. I'll just say it right now. I was right. Jackson Posey, sports editor of the Baylor Lariat, right here in studio, joining us at 5:30 to give his take. We're breaking it all down. Baylor's 1-1. Big comeback victory on the road against a playoff team. But so many questions remain as Samford comes into town this coming Saturday. This is Please Bear With Me. We are brought to you by Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath here in Waco. My name's Scotty Swingler. Let's get it, baby. Boom. Here we are, coming to you live from Studio 3, floor 21 of the Alico building in downtown Waco. Scotty Swingler. Before I bring in Terrence Ganaway, Terrence, Andrea Cameron is in the comments. Mrs. Cameron, thank you for joining us today. We love Josh so much. Baylor legend already. Please come to Studio 3, floor 21 sometime. I would love to show you around. Let me show everybody my co-host, my friend, Alamo Bowl MVP, single season rushing record holder for a decade for Baylor. As we established today, the Batman of the Batman and Robin duo of RG3 and Terrence Ganaway in the backfield. It is Baylor running back, great Terrence Ganaway. Hello, Terrence.
What's up, Scotty? Man, I do not like to be wrong, and boy, was I wrong this week. But listen, I'm okay to be wrong in this instance. My beloved Baylor Bears went out there and stole a win in Dallas, Texas, and I couldn't be any more happier. I I had it all wrong. I thought we were going to play sloppy. And listen, we didn't play a clean game.
No.
But I thought we were going to play a lot more sloppier than we did. And when push come to shove, defense bowled up. We got 2 big stops. We rattled off 21 unanswered points to go up in the in overtime. And then we just shut them down outside of that one play. I mean, you think about their passes, man. They had 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 plays, 175 yards, that 25-yard play in overtime, and then the 2 75-yard touchdown bombs. Other than that, I mean, it was a 125-yard passing game. And listen, I don't, at the end of the day, all those stats are cumulative. So I'm not going to take anything away from Jennings. I remember when I was with the New York Jets and Anthony Lynn was our running back coach. Joe, gosh, rest his soul, Joe McKnight was a running back there, and coach would talk about the game. If you didn't have an 80-yard run, you would have averaged 1.2 yards a carry. It's like, how can you take that 80-yard run away from me? But if we take those away and defense plays a lot better, this game is not close at all. So there's a lot to look forward to. Defense has to shape up a lot faster, a lot sooner in the game, earlier in the game. But I thought Sawyer Robinson played really well, and he aided us into a victory. So guys rallied around some injuries earlier, and we just kept playing. So I apologize, Baylor. I thought we were going to lose by 10, and when we were down 14 points in the fourth quarter, I'm like, I hate to be right, but I told you so, Scotty. I'm sure there's some screenshots and text messages. But listen, I apologize. You won't hear a lot of that from me, but today I am.
Well, that's the kind of man you are, Terrence, to just come out right up front and own that. But we won't have to bring it up again. I have a feeling you will be right more than I'm right the remainder of the season, if I had to guess. But, man, you heard me in the intro, bro. I have never felt this weird, like this unsettled after a win over a top 25 team, let alone on the road. There is half of my brain that's like, yeah, we are on target, top 3 in the Big 12, aiming for a championship. It's all right there. We look good. And then there's half of me that's like, bro, we came out and looked flat for a quarter and a half again. We cannot get up at the start of big games. And there's half of me that's like, and I know we're going to have this discussion in about 10, 15 minutes with Jackson Posey, but there's part of me that's like, man, like Sawyer Robertson is putting up these video game numbers and doesn't look like his best. Like, I thought he looked better the back half of last season, like, which partially is pretty exciting and partially is like, what's happening? Bro, that game yesterday, I was at a wedding. I was in a wedding last night. And so all the groomsmen, we were watching the game, fortunately, because it was a morning kickoff, right? And if I told you how many times most of us went to Baylor, one of us were like, fire Dave Aranda right now. Or, oh my gosh, we are the worst team in college football. Like, if I can tell you the number of times those kind of statements were made, and we all felt them. It happened a lot. And then suddenly we're dancing around, screaming, hugging, high-fiving, freaking out that we beat a playoff team on the road. Terrence, like, highs and lows, man. How are you feeling about the makeup of this team after such a back and forth, odd, man, moments where we look like the best team and moments where we look like the worst team? Like, where's your like read on this team right now?
I don't have one. I think that's why I said exactly what I said last week, and I stood by it, and I'm convicted enough to say that I was wrong, but there wasn't a lot of hope that could have changed my belief. You are a product of what you see and do. And what I see on the field week in and week out is not always a good product. I mean, we probably sometimes need to throw the baby out with the bathwater And I don't know who the baby is. You can put coach or a player in there, but I could tell you right now, this team is wildly inconsistent. And I think
Mm,
what excites me about the Big 12 is that it's open. And then what
yeah.
gives me a little bit, the chills is like, are we going to go take it?
Mm,
Listen, we won Saturday. SMU is probably reviewing the film and saying they lost.
yes.
So if they're saying that, then did we get handed the game? I don't think we got handed the game. We went at the end of the day. The score is the score.
We took it. Yeah.
But will we be able to take 10 games this season? This is a trap game this week. If we come out flat again, like my nerves doesn't get any better. But we should beat Sanford, and everybody should be, oh my goodness, we're 2-1, and it's a better start than last year. And I don't know where we go. Arizona State got beat by a good Mississippi State team on the road.
By Blake Shapen.
By Blake Shapen. I would take Sawyer Robinson over Blake Shapen.
We all would.
But to answer your question very succinctly, Scotty, I have no idea the identity of this team. It's not a defensive team. It's not a running team.
No.
Right now, Sawyer's on pace to throw for
5,000 yards.
6,000 yards, 600 attempts, which is I don't think it's sustainable. And I think it will more often than not put your defense in very bad situations. Hey, we found a kicker to at least nail a field goal to win a game. We still got to work on kicking it back in the end zone.
Better than SMU, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what the next few weeks delivers us. But I think this team is still searching for identity, which is frustrating for a team like this in year 6 of the coach's tenure.
Yeah, let me respond to 3 of the things you said, because you pointed out 3 things that I think we have to mention, if even in a kind of a shorter form podcast, if we're being honest about this game. One of the things you mentioned is about the Big 12 at large. This was a bad weekend for the Big 12, bro. And we'll talk more about this week. If you watch Rogue's content, Pete Souza show, Matt Mosley show, those are 2 shows I work on. I'm sure this will come up. Pete covers the Big 12 for ESPN and Inside the 12, the conference. So we'll talk about this. Bad weekend for the Big 12, bro. Arizona State losing to Mississippi State absolutely shocked me. Absolutely shocks me. I was disappointed Kansas lost to Mizzou. I thought they could take that one. Disappointed, not that Oklahoma State lost, because I think anyone with a brain expected that, but lost in the most embarrassing fashion possible to Oregon.
I mean, Gundy had that circled on.
He's gone, man.
I don't think he's gone, but he had that game circled on the like this is a guaranteed loss. I don't. They didn't get off the bus. I don't think.
Well,
and it was
all of that to say,
yeah.
When the Big 12 is out here fighting for like national perception as the 3rd best conference in America, and you drop a game like Baylor to Auburn, and then Arizona State to Mississippi State, and Kansas State to freaking Army. It's not really helping you. Because right now, I mean, if you ask me about the Big 12 right now, Iowa State fans are happy. They look good. Big win against Iowa. BYU fans are happy. They haven't played much of anybody. Utah fans have to be ecstatic. Devin Dampier looks legit. Again, they haven't really played anyone either, but they're taking care of business when they're supposed to. I think after that, Texas Tech fans are happy. They've beaten 2 nobodies. Other than that, I think Baylor's in pretty good shape. So that was one thing I did want to hit today. Weird. Big 12's wide open, like you said. 2, you mentioned, I lost my train of thought.
SMU.
Love it when this happens.
SMU losing the game instead of winning.
Nah. Okay. I'm going to go to my 3rd thing, and maybe I'll remember the 2nd thing.
Okay.
Maybe more alarming to me than the struggles on defense, which are alarming. I remember the 3rd thing. We'll get back to it. Maybe more alarming than the struggles on defense. Last year's turnaround from 2-4 to 6-0 was, I think, so directly a result of finding the mojo on the offensive line. Like I would have said that was our worst unit in those first 6 games, and I might say it was our best unit in those final 6 games. And we've got 4 of the 5 guys back starting. And, they were blowing off the ball against Auburn, and I was disappointed. But I tried to say, well, there's that SEC bigger, stronger, faster crap. Won't happen again. SMU mostly blew those guys off the ball too. I just need to mention that. I want to ask you about that in a second. I would love your take on that. But then the third thing, and this is what it was. You were saying it looks like we're inconsistent, out of rhythm. This team's not living up to their potential. It's public comment, so I'm going to throw it up on the screen. Andrea Cameron says, players will tell you they're not hitting on all cylinders. That's what makes yesterday's win exciting. This team is far from its ceiling. And Terrence, I think I would agree with that. Whether we're talking about offensive line, whether we're talking about defense, whether we're talking about Sawyer Robertson, we can see the talent and we can see the misses. I know you're a performance wins losses guy, and we got to see it all. We got to see it all come together. Or talent doesn't matter, right?
Mama Cameron. I love I love reading everything about Josh Cameron. You have raised a phenomenal son, a hardworking, hard-nosed leader. Those characteristics that will transcend anything he does in sports. I hope he has a very, very long career, but whatever he does, you've raised a great son. And so I applaud you for that. One of the things, and I know I've mentioned this to Scotty, Buddy Ray was my head coach in high school. He was also my 7th grade coach. He comes into the locker room in 7th grade, and he said, this team has a lot of potential, but potential will get me fired. So I love the fact that the players feel like there's a lot more meat on the bone. But I'm going to tell you right now, what we don't see, and it's harder to see because we're not in the locker room, we're not at practice, but what we see on the field is not a lot of meat on the bone. Yeah, there's some misses and miscues, missed tackles, bad throws, feet, offensive linemen just missing assignments. There's some of that. And sometimes we're close like that. First play of the game could have been a pick, but instead it goes the opposite way. I'm sure Oklahoma is still upset that happened with Kendall Wright against Oklahoma in 2011. Like,
great call out, bro.
At the end of the day, you have to produce. And this team is not producing consistently. I love everything about it. They got the players on both sides of the ball. But there is some inconsistency that must be addressed. And if it doesn't, then yes, potential will get Dave Aranda fired. And no one wants that.
Bingo. Well said. Yeah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to lose your coach. I was talking to the guys yesterday at the wedding. I don't want to lose this recruiting class, bro. Like I'm getting so excited about some of these 4-star kids that are supposed to come in next year. But good words, Terrence. Any other final thoughts just on yesterday? I'll just tell viewers. I'll be honest. We're not going to talk about Samford a lot today. We might close with a couple words, but like there's not a lot of matchup things here to talk about.
No, what's in front of us is not Samford. It's not correct. Utah. It's not TCU. It's not BYU. I don't think we play BYU this year.
We do not.
Houston. What's in front of Baylor is Baylor. They are their only opponent. And when they've realized that they can be a much better version of Baylor, they're going to be dangerous. We got a good team. We're just not fielding it all the time. So, yeah, I don't need to talk about Samford. I don't need to talk about any other teams or Arizona State next week. I don't care, because what really matters is what's happening in Waco, and we have to fix that before we start addressing anybody else's issues.
Let's go. Terrence, I am going to run a clip to introduce our next guest, and then I'm going to sprint over to the soundboard and unmute his microphone while the clip is running. Jackson Posey is the sports editor of the Baylor Lariat. He is someone I've interacted with for a couple years via X, and thrilled to know today he filled in for us on Green and Gold Game Day yesterday, which is our Rogue Media pregame show. Did an outstanding job sitting at the desk breaking down some Baylor football. So I asked him to come back tonight and talk shop and maybe argue with Terrence Canaway about my favorite quarterback in college football. But before we do that, let's give Jackson his props, because yesterday on the Green and Gold Game Day show, he made a prediction that was pretty good, pretty spot on. So let's watch that together really quick.
Honor of Lee Corso,
Yes.
who retired last week.
Yes.
I would like to officially make my pick here. Not that one. Give me the Bears in a fun shootout in SMU. I think the flower falls from the college football playoff team. I think the sun rises, scorches Rhett Lashley's team out there. And I think the rich man fades into the background of a 1-1 record. Give me the Bears 36-33.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Here's Terrence. Here's Jackson Posey with us in studio at the Alico building. The Lee Corso tribute on point. The chrome helmet, beautiful. The prediction, pretty good. Bro, welcome to Please Bear With Me. How you doing?
Doing so well. Thank you for having me. Look, Lee Corso retires and leaves in his wake the next Saturday. Somebody's got to pop up. And so it was my duty, but also a privilege to be able to be the next Lee Corso, I guess.
Whoa. Slow down on the
We're about the same height, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not so fast, my friend, right?
There you go. Wonderful tribute, though. Great job on the show yesterday. Jackson, tell everybody quickly, like 30-second version. Who are you? What do you do? How'd you get tied in at the Lariat? What do you love about Baylor football?
Yeah, I'm a sports media guy. I run around, do stuff. People have told me I have man with a microphone syndrome, and it's really tough to fight that when I am a man and I do have a microphone. But yeah, I've been doing sports writing since I was in 7th grade. Was my first paying job. I think the guy, it was like a European guy running the NBA website. I don't think he, realized that I was 13, but it works. Get the bag, and I've been doing stuff ever since.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. Well, Jackson's awesome, doing a great job over there at the Lariat. Doing a great job. I got to know Jackson a little bit watching coverage of my China Spring Cougars. He was on the broadcast there for a couple seasons with China Spring football, which still has my heart. Go Cougs. All right, guys. Let's just break it down. Okay. Terrence Canaway, now through 2 football games, has been texting me a little underwhelmed. Underwhelmed's a good word. Not overly critical. I don't want to just totally roast and be unfair to Terrence, but underwhelmed by Sawyer Robertson's play. There was one text in particular that I thought was really unfair that I won't say out loud. I'll let Terrence share it if he wants.
What did I say, man? Go ahead and put me on blast.
Okay, sure. I got a text yesterday in the first quarter that said Sawyer's playing like a freshman. That's the text I got.
Okay. Yeah, I stand by that.
All right, sure. So quickly, I just want to throw up a couple of tweets here, and we're gonna go full screen because it is these are small. Jackson yesterday points out that Sawyer Robertson in the last 3 games, 61.1%. for 1,304 yards, a 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio against 2 pretty good SEC teams and a playoff team, which is just factual. I know Terrence was going to be the first one to say, well, he's 1-2, because Terrence is all about winning, which is why I love Terrence, and it's why he hosts this podcast with me. But that is a pretty outstanding 3-game resume. And Terrence, just to drive the point home a little further, your backfield mate, Robert Griffin III, chimed in of his own volition and said, Sawyer Robertson, the first 2 weeks of the college football season, is on fire. Gentlemen, that sets us up here for the discussion. Jackson, I'll go ahead and let you go first, and then I'll let Terrence respond. Tell us why you are very pleased with the play of one Baylor quarterback, Sawyer Robertson.
Look, I think we can take this back a little bit to 1876 when Mark Twain writes a book called The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. And this child named Sawyer's running around, getting into some mischief, and his mom catches him. He gets in trouble, and she makes him paint the fence. But this child, this Sawyer, he's pretty crafty. He knows what's going on, and he convinces the other kids in the neighborhood not only to paint the fence for him, but to give him trinkets in exchange for the honor of painting the fence. And then he trades those trinkets for better and better trinkets. I mean, it's like the early version of the bigger and better thing with the paperclip to the house. This is Sawyer's doing. Today, I think we see similar things happening with Sawyer Robertson, who, sometimes he's given the job of painting the fence behind the offensive line, but he's been really consistent, taking things that have not even been given to him. And you wind up with 9 touchdowns in the last 3 games.
All right. Terrence Ganaway.
You can keep me on screen. I everyone on screen, because I love to see y'all's reaction. One of the things that y'all forgot to put up there is that Sawyer's on pace to have more yards than Iowa Hawkeyes will have all season.
Already has more. Yeah.
Another very irrelevant stat. So we could talk about this. I hate stats, and I think more of my guys that I talk to from the NFL that evaluate, like, stats are for people who like talking about football when football is not on. So there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like it. I think the stat that matters the most is, did we win or did we lose? And what we saw the last 2 weeks was a very solid performance from Sawyer Robertson. I'm a fan. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not riding his coattail, but I am a fan. I think he's a hard-nosed player. I think there's something going on with his legs, which affects his decision making sometimes. But
I've been wondering that too.
But you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And there were perfect moments last night or yesterday where Sawyer can hit someone in stride and his feet are unsettled. When I look at a Hoover that played against a bad UNC team, still an ACC team, and we don't know how good SMU will fare the rest of the season, so they got to fix some things too. But when I saw Hoover was extremely decisive. Feet set, balls gone. He was very on schedule. And I think when Sawyer is not on schedule, catch the ball, and he sees his guy, sets his feet and let it go. When he's off schedule, he looks very vanilla. And it's hard to say that, he's averaging 60 plus percent. He's thrown for, 700, 800 yards this season. That's great. I mean, Mike Leach had a ton of quarterbacks like that, and they didn't win a lot of games. I don't want to be a Mike Leach era quarterback system or team. I want to win a national championship. Dave Aranda was brought here not to have a quarterback throw for 5,000 yards. He was coming to the Big 12 to establish a defense yet to be seen and to win the Big 12. So, yes, Sawyer Robertson good, Jackson? Absolutely. Does he play like a freshman at times? Absolutely. And I thought very early in that game yesterday, there were some critical throws that he missed that I thought were second base throws for him all day, every day. And so when I talk about inconsistency earlier in this show, Sawyer is one of them too. Now, I think he probably went for 70+% yesterday. But that throw late in the game to Mama Cameron's boy, if he catches him in stride, that's a touchdown. Instead, we walk off the field and we have to punt. I don't know what you guys want from me, other than to tell you the truth. And I know these are both truths from our perspective. But as Sawyer gets better, we're no longer talking about stats. Kobe Bryant said, don't watch what I do, watch how I do it. And that's what I want to see from Sawyer Robertson as the season progresses.
Terrence, I'm sure you've had your share of Kool-Aid in your day. It tastes pretty good. It's a great experience to drink the Kool-Aid. It makes you feel a little happy inside. But if what we're measuring here is wins and losses, which I think is a fair metric, right? If that's the metric we're going on, I don't think any of those 3 losses were on Sawyer. And more so than many of the other elite quarterbacks in college football right now. There aren't a whole lot of them yet in this season, I don't think. But more so than many of them, there are plays where it seems like, oh, this throw just kind of sailed out of bounds, or he just missed a guy over the middle. That should have been an easy pitch and catch. But these are issues of degrees, and within the offense, I think this has the potential to be a top 10, 15 offense in the nation. And so the wins and losses here,
statistically, right?
Statistically, sure. But the wins and losses to me are not falling on anything that the offense is doing so far, other than you could say ball control, offensive line play. That doesn't fall on Sawyer. I look at the defense that's completely unable to stop the run and control the game flow as more of the reason for those losses. If you go into those games with a 50th ranked defense in the nation and Bryson Washington doesn't get hurt in that bowl game, you might be 3-0 in those games.
Well, we had to stop someone at LSU, and we still had. Anyways, I agree with you, and I said it last week. Scotty, we could pull up a clip. I mean, we'll find it. But I said it last week. Sawyer played pedestrian last week. It was a clean game, but it wasn't great. But he played a good game. But it wasn't his fault that we lost. I completely agree. The last 3 games, if we lost all 3, would not have been his fault. But are you telling me right now that Sawyer is the reason why we won yesterday, Jackson?
I think it's a pretty big part of it. I would give more credit probably to Jake Spavital and the receiving core in general, and also just kind of the general nature of that game where SMU lost so much talent defensively. It seemed like they couldn't really keep pace, especially by the end. But I would give a decent amount of credit to Sawyer Robertson for saying, hey, I have this receiving core. I'm going to use it even at volume. I mean, he was 50 attempts, I think, when so much of the game is on his shoulders and he's getting so little bump in the running game consistently. I think he gets some level of credit for that.
All right. So
Agreed.
what level of credit does he get for losing?
But see, he's contributing positively, right? And so if he's pouring, I don't know, 3 ounces of Kool-Aid into the cup or whatever, I don't know that you need to criticize him if there's 18 ounces of water in there.
I just know Kool-Aid, if you drink it too much, my parents and grandparents used to call it sugar diabetes. And so you don't want sugar diabetes. You get high and you crash really fast. And so I'm not going to put any sugar in it. I'm not going to put flavor in it. I'm going to stick straight to water, H2O. And what I will tell you is that Sawyer's, he's been really good for us. Really good for us. But as a quarterback, as a leader of the team, that if he hosts a Heisman this year, a lot of that credit is going to be put on him. So as Sam Levitt is in Arizona right now, that loss is going to be pinned on him. Whether it was his fault or not, it's going to be pinned on him. Kevin Jennings, SMU this week, that loss is going to be pinned on him, rightfully so or not. But that's the mantle that you have to carry as a quarterback. So if you want to win games, yeah, your job is to get everybody up offensively and defensively. Bryce Underwood, that loss is on him. What happened to the offense? They couldn't even pass the ball. They couldn't run the ball against Oklahoma. Now, if we take a step back and we look at the landscape of the game, yeah, is it really their fault they lost? No. Michael Penix just lost a close game today against Tampa Bay. 2 great passes late in the game. He played a next to perfect game. Justin Fields played the next to a perfect game. At the end of the day, they lost. And what coaches get fired on is what we should be measuring. Coaches do not get fired on having all-star receivers and all-star quarterbacks. They get fired on wins and losses. And so should quarterbacks, in my opinion. I digress.
I want to bring up a couple things, Terrence, and I'm going to pull a couple threads and kind of try to tie them together here and see. I'm leading to something, but it might take me a second to get there. Just please bear with me, if you will. Okay. You brought up Josh Hoover. Somebody asked earlier, Sawyer or Hoover, in your opinion, on X. Terrence, you played in a Bryles offense, bro. You should know better than anybody that if there's an offense that can get any quarterback video game numbers, It's the Bryles offense. Nick Florence, God love him. He's doing a great job with John Morris so far on the radio this year. Nick Florence had more total yards than Johnny Manziel going into that Heisman ceremony. Why? The Bryles offense. So by the way, Josh Hoover playing in that same offense is not putting up the same numbers as Sawyer Robertson.
I never said
that out. I just want to point that out.
Said anything about his numbers.
All I'm saying is
decision.
We can't criticize one guy about numbers and then
I didn't say anything, but I'm not talking about numbers.
Bryce Petty made a lot of decisive decisions in that offense too. He was not an NFL quarterback,
and that's fine. We're not talking about NFL. But I never said Hoover is.
Sawyer might be though.
He may be. According to the spider chart you pulled up, he may be the second coming of Christ.
Heck yeah.
But the reality is, listen, I love Sawyer. I want him to do well. I'm rooting, and to answer the question from the chat, I'm taking a current Baylor Bear player over anybody in the nation right now. You couldn't give me what's the guy from Ohio, Smith over Josh Cameron any day. I want a guy that is suited up, that's been in the trenches with this team the entire year. Since January 1st, they come back, they're ready to go, ready to work. I don't want anyone else in our uniform. I don't play that. I want the guys in our uniforms to understand who they are and what they can do, and then I want them to go out there and execute. So I don't care about numbers, and I'm not a numbers guy. You know that. So that's why I didn't say anything about Hoover's numbers. I just said he was decisive. If Sawyer is decisive moving forward, I'll say, hey, let's go. Let's go win 11 in a row. Let's get to the national championship, and I'll be there.
Let me pull the rest of the pieces on this thread real quick.
All right, pull up.
Because this was the argument I made with some friends today, or yesterday at the wedding. Is Sawyer, and I know, Terrence, I'm not necessarily talking about you, because I hear what you're saying, and I know what you're looking at. But I'm talking about anyone else out there who might generally be a little bit down on Sawyer's play through 2 games. I asked the question at the wedding, are we not holding Sawyer Robertson to an impossibly high standard that only Robert Griffin could have met in Baylor's history? And it's funny, when I asked my friend group that, they were like, no, I don't think so. And then I looked at one of them and said, okay, he's 61% over the last 3 games. What completion percentage would satisfy you? He goes, 80. I was like, okay, name one college football quarterback passing for 80%. Name one. Like, what are we talking about? You proved my point. I wonder if, that Cowherd says this a lot on his show. Disappointment only happens when expectations aren't met, right? So when our expectations are so high, it's so much easier to be disappointed than if we start with, last year, Sawyer comes in, we have no expectations for him. Our very high expectations for Daquan Finn were very quickly unanswered. Our expectations for that team were pretty much in the tank. Sawyer comes in with no expectations, plays outstanding. Baylor goes on a run. We feel great. I feel like now it's almost that we were expecting a Big 12 championship team. We're expecting a Heisman level quarterback, whatever that means. Robert Griffin's what it means to me, because that's the guy I saw do it in person, right? And just because we lost a game and he's not a Heisman front runner after 2 weeks, we're like, man, our quarterback's no good. Terrence, he's still a top 5 quarterback in America.
I don't think he's
still a top 5 quarterback in America right
I don't think
now.
He's no good. I think you and Jackson can agree with me here. There's some routine plays. The ball's hit to shortstop. We drop our butt, put our glove on the ground, we field it, we cradle it, and then we throw it to first base. And there's some times where the ball that you think is routine for Sawyer goes into the dugout. And so it's fine because, we can overcome it. But to be a championship level quarterback and team, we have to make those routine plays. I don't mind, a ball going 70 yards in the air down the field and Hawkins he can't get it. I don't mind the miss. I care less about stats. I don't care if they throw 100% or 50%. I care about winning the game. And so when the biggest moments happen, what do you do? Aaron Rodgers today, biggest moment, they get the ball back, 2-minute drill. they got to go down and score. In the biggest moment, he makes the plays that wins the game.
Okay. So Baylor gets the ball down 14.
Yeah, we go out
with
there and
7
win.
minutes to go in the biggest moment, and suddenly Sawyer is making those plays.
Great. And I loved it. We won yesterday. We absolutely did what we need to do. And on the flip side of that, the defense bowed up, and they stopped that offense that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, they were vanilla most of the game outside of those big plays anyways, but the defense did exactly what they needed to do to win the game. And I love that. You know, Jackson's over there smiling, so he can chime in too. Go ahead.
You know, Terrence, we're talking about, we don't want to talk numbers. So let me give you one number and ask you a Jimmy's and Joe's stat on the other side. These past 3 games, Baylor has given up 44, 38, and 45 points. And you talk about quarterback being decisive, quarterback coming in to make those big plays. Who is the quarterback who's not Sawyer Robertson in college football right now, who you would say, yeah, they're going to face 44, 38, 45 points. They're going to win those 3 games with this offense?
Man, can we pull up some stats from when I was, if we're throwing out stats when I was in school and what we had to do to win games? Listen, very valid point. Jackson, our defense, I don't think is better than it was last year. I think we have not gotten, so I think we've upgraded the talent, but something is just not clicking for us. And so, to your point, Sawyer could be 50 for 50, 5 touchdowns, but if we give up, what do we score, 48? If we give up 50 points, we still lose. So I get your point. We need a defense that can help supplement him, and we don't have it. So there's not a quarterback in the country I would take over Sawyer Robinson that could do, score 51 if needed to be and play a perfect game. I like Sawyer Robinson. Like I said, he's been in this program for 3 years now. He knows what to do. He knows the team. The team rallies around him. I want him to have as much success as possible. I also want him to calm his mind and play lights out, very confident, with a lot of confidence. And when he does that, we're going to be a very special team. And I just pray that Jerusalem on the Brazos finds a defense that we can go out there and field, and let's stop some teams, because I think there's going to be many teams in the Big 12 that's going to be able to smooth the ball on us and score. And Phil Bennett, early teams, but don't break. These teams are breaking, and I don't like to watch that. I don't like to put that product on the field. But great question, Jackson.
Terrence brings up some history. It did feel like we talked about this yesterday with my friend group. The last 2 games have felt like some 2012 Baylor Bears, right? Like the offense is going to score 56 a game, but the defense is going to give up 60. I think of that West Virginia game in particular in 2012. Jackson, speaking of that, I wanted to bring you in today in part to ask you. I'm so fascinated by this because I am 10 years, 11 football seasons off campus at this point. Very humbling and staggering, by the way. I'm old. It happens. It happens to all of us. When I was on campus, by the way, best 4 years of Baylor football in history to this day. Heisman and 2 championships. It felt good.
You get credit for that?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I get credit for anything that happens this season because I have a podcast. But if we lose, I don't. I don't take credit for the losses. Not unlike a quarterback. I digress. Thank you, Terrence. When I was on campus, dude, and I grew up in Waco, so I watched Baylor up close when we were the worst team in college football, literally. What Griffin did and Terrence did in that 2011 season, going 10-3, big Alamo Bowl victory over a good opponent, propelling us into 2 championships my junior and senior year. The energy on campus around that football program. Oh, and opening a new stadium my senior year, right? I mean, you literally had everything. The energy around football on campus was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I mean, in that era, especially 2013 and 14, when we won those championships, I would have put the Baylor student experience, stadium experience, I would have put it up there with anybody. There was nowhere else I would have rather been watching football at any school. Sincerely. I felt just a hair, just a tease of that energy as we were running out to play Auburn last week, and then of course we lost, and that felt bad. But I wanted to get your perspective and talk as long as you like, because I've been yapping. What is the student experience like now, specifically around football? Specifically because this program has been so inconsistent for about 10 years now, as far as very high highs and very low lows, right? What is it like being a student on campus now? And how does everybody on campus feel about the football team, coach, program? Do people still get fired up about games? Do you talk about it on campus? What's that like?
Well, you know, during the Baylor SMU game on Saturday, I will say I got several texts from different people saying that we need to fire Dave Aranda. And
that was happening in my room too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm working, so I look at my phone afterwards. I'm like, these are all going to be real fun to respond to now. But I'll kick it back because I'm a senior right now. Kick it back to my freshman year. It's 2022, and Baylor goes into the year top 10 program.
Oh gosh.
And the first FBS team that Baylor played that season was BYU on the road. And so me and all the freshmen in Martin dorm are like gathered around the TV in the foyer watching this game, watched them show cougar tails, and there's this huge moon up there, and you miss the field goal, you lose the game, and something definitely felt off. It didn't feel like a championship team. You're like, we're going to the year top 10. You're, you know, clear-eyed, more starry-eyed maybe than clear-eyed, but something's going on with your eyes.
Drinking the Kool-Aid, as Terrence said.
But then you lose to Oklahoma State at home in the first real home game of the year. And that was a game where there's a safety on a halfback toss in the end zone where you're like, what's going on with this offense? And things just continue to devolve over and over again. No one who came in my year had seen a ranked win since Saturday. And so there was kind of just this momentum. And that first season ends with the Air Force loss in the bowl game at TCU.
That one felt so bad.
And from that moment, you're like, okay, if this program is worse than Air Force, and then the next season, of course, it gets even worse, right? Like the Texas State game.
Yep.
I'm at that point, I was running a podcast with the Baylor Lariat, Don't Feed the Bears, shout out on Spotify. And I said, hey, Baylor's going to bounce back. Baylor's bouncing back. I mean, they're at least making a bowl game. If Baylor doesn't at least make a bowl game, I'll eat a raw onion on a live stream. 3 days later, watch the Bobcats sort of dismantle the Bears in McLean Stadium there. And I guess who has to eat an onion on a live stream, right?
Did you do it after game one, or did you wait until we were mathematically limited?
I waited, but it was definitely a weekly, like the dread just builds over time. I could only taste onions for 3 days. And so to me, the taste of those first 3 years in Waco was onions, right? It was just kind of what symbolized things. You have people weeping in the streets, of course, but also me eating the onion. But it really did feel like from the start of my sophomore year, everybody I talked to on campus was like, when are we going to fire Dave? When's Dave gone? When's it? And there's a little bit of momentum at the end of last season where it's finally like, oh, are we good? Like we have fun players. Baylor football's fun again.
Yeah.
And in some ways, Baylor football's fun for the first time because that wide zone stopped working right when we showed up. And so to me, this is the first time that I've been here where there's been any sort of juice around the program. But even then, there's still those whispers of like, should we make a coaching change? Is this really the direction we want to be going in? And so there's never been like a full-throated, this is definitely it, we're all in. It was close last season. But after the Auburn loss, it felt like all those sort of bad feelings of, we haven't had any success while we've been here, kept creeping back.
Yeah, and I want to give credit, man. That student section was rocking in that Auburn game. Like, I really, I was texting people saying, this is the best this building's felt since 2015. Like it really felt like a return to form from what I want for Baylor, what I remember about my experience. How is this week going to affect that? And do you think it's going to take a little more for that buy-in to come back after that week one loss at home?
I think it'll take time. And I mean, I think this was a small thing, right? But in that first week game against Auburn, the chamber holding the line back and not letting them kind of like spill all the way into the end zone before they started running. I mean, the line looked so much better. I think obviously being a night game helped. A lot of emphasis on the whole pageantry and show and tell.
Baylor Athletics production of that football game
Absolutely.
was A+. Yeah.
And that to me was one of the most disappointing parts of the loss is like,
agreed.
We're not rewarding this.
Agreed.
Like this is what every game should be like.
Yep.
That's obviously not going to happen against Samford. And then the next week it's Arizona State, who, if they keep looking like this, they're not going to be ranked by the time Baylor plays them. And so how does that all work out? But look, I'm hopeful that things are looking up. I think the offense scoring points. People, we don't want to talk about numbers, but there's a couple numbers up on the scoreboard that people really care about. And if one of them's really high up there, that's going to draw more people in. That's going to build more engagement. And given the lows that we saw in 2023, if we can be anywhere close to where we were last Friday, that's a win.
That's good stuff. Here's my question. And I want Terrence to engage in this as well. What do we make of Dave Aranda, everybody? I kind of saved it for our last topic of discussion because I think that's probably the number one discussion for any Baylor fan, student, millennial, or older. Like, what do we do with this head coach? What do we do? And I said it in the top. Terrence, we're coming. I promise. I know you've got feelings, but I said it up top. What's so agonizing about it? There's two things to me that make the difference. And I want to hear Terrence's perspective, and I want to hear your perspective on kind of you and your friends and what the students are thinking on campus. Okay. My perspective is twofold. A, I've said it. I feel like it's the drum I beat that makes me just shed a tear every time I hit the mallet to the drum head. Like, Dave Aranda teams at Baylor, never, not in his whole tenure, barely even in 2021. They don't come out fast in the first quarter of big football games. I feel like we are always playing from behind. Always. I mean, it killed us against LSU. It killed us against Auburn after the first 3 drives. I am consistently underwhelmed by this team's energy at the front of games. Maybe it's unfair. I blame it on the energy of the head coach because he doesn't have any. I hate having to play from behind constantly. By the way, this team is mentally tough. Like, I don't think Dave Aranda has a weak-minded football team. You don't win that game yesterday if you're weak, because when they went down by 14 with 7 minutes to go, my whole friend group was weak. We were like, it's done. We're done. Clearly Jackson had some friends texting him. Fire coach. We're done. This team is not mentally weak, but they never come out hot, and that bothers me. And then the second thing is just the obvious thing. I do believe Dave Aranda, when we hired him, was a top 5 defensive coordinator in America in the college football game. I don't really know how you could dispute it. And yet here we are in year 6, year 2 of him going back to being the primary play caller. And I feel like I felt in 2012 with an Art Briles team. Wow, we might put up 60 today. Wow, we might give up 63. That's an issue if your head coach's thing is calling defense. Which one of you two wants to talk first?
I'll give Terrence first.
I'll chime into what you just said a little earlier, Scotty, about the question you asked Jackson is, like, when will we get over it? I think it's very hard for not only students but fans to disassociate the prior 5 years to what we're seeing this year. And so if we're looking at this year alone, no one is freaking out. Auburn, great game. They came out, they hit us in the mouth. We didn't respond well. SMU came out, hit us in the mouth. We responded the way we should have responded. We go out there and win a game. So I think if you look at this season and its own snow globe, and you say, hey, like, everything is in front of us, like you talked about before we started the season, like, everything is in front of us. We're able to look at this season and say, like, Baylor's going to be okay. But because we have history and data and statistics that y'all so love, we look back and we say, man, there's some rockiness on the horizon. Yes, if we could get on this and we can stair-step this throughout the season, this will be a fun season. Everybody else on campus will be ready. People will be getting engaged before December. Like, all types of things will happen on campus. But the reality is, when we look at what we saw yesterday, our minds go back to the past 5 years. And that's very tough. So, yes, have teams. We haven't done a really good job of setting the tone early in games. We've been very reactive. And I don't like reactive teams. It's great that we have that mantra about us that, hey, we can take a hit. But sure, let's start, let's hit someone else first before we have to take a hit to realize we're in a fight. And then when you think about LSU, yes, top 5 ranked defensive coordinator. He's been good everywhere he's been.
Yes.
They had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson on the other side. They had a couple of good running backs as well. Yeah. And I'm sure they had several people drafted off that defense. But when you have really solid guys, you can kind of pick your poison. You and I last year in the Super Bowl, even Jackson, I'll throw Jackson in there. We could have called the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Chiefs. We could have ran any play we wanted. It was like on rookie mode. But now it's on all Madden mode. And now you got to call a defense based on what the offense is showing you and what they're giving you and what's in front of you. And I don't know if, there's a text that went in our chain. Like, we're just very slow on defense. Like, we're slow and late to things. And when I think of that, I'm thinking there's somebody who hasn't really understood what's happening in front of them. When you know exactly what the defense is doing, you play fast. You know exactly what the offense is doing, you play fast. And I just think we react to a lot of stuff. And for us to win and get everything in front of us, we have to definitely start setting the tone instead of waiting to get punched in the mouth. And 2 things. I hope Trig is healthy. Josh Cameron is a energy guy for us. He was that way in Auburn. He was that way all of last year. You look at the Texas Tech game when we rattled off 6, he was a big part of that Texas Tech game last year. And so Trig is great. Hawkins is great. We got a ton of receivers. But if Josh Cameron is not getting 10 targets a game, something is very, very wrong, especially when you're throwing the ball 50 times.
Agreed.
Because he is the type of guy that squares up with his big shoulders and he boxes out 3 guys, catch the ball at the 5, and then drags them to the end zone. There's no one else on our team that can do that.
Awesome. Correct.
And guess what? That's a game changer. That's why we got back in the game. That's why the defense came back out. You talk about energy. I don't care about, Dave Renda doesn't need to have energy, but you better give the ball to your energy guys. And Josh Cameron is Josh Cameron is an energy guy, and he should get the ball every single drive. And we need to stop trying to it's fine. Trig is going to play in the NFL. Hawkins, like all these guys are going to get their chances. But if you want to win football games today, number 34 should be on your scouting report, and he should be a priority. And I didn't think he was last week against Auburn into the second half. He only had 2 catches, and he made guys miss after each catch. So we got him more involved yesterday, and I think he was a big reason to setting the tone and energy to getting us back in the game.
So let me react to that, and then I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to throw it to Jackson. That was my biggest reaction from week 1 as well. All of my friends who got any text from me, it was about Josh Cameron. Give him the ball. What are we doing? But my question is, would you blame then, or blame's the bad word, this lack of energy we're talking about, or lack of starting games fast? When you say, oh, we just got to get the ball to our energy guys, are you absolving Coach Aranda of some accountability for that? Or would you agree he needs to change something about game day routine, how we do pregame, how we do warm up, how we come out in the first quarter? Like, how would you, because the question was about Dave, how would you respond to that?
That's a great question. And I would say your team does embody the persona, maybe the resolve, the resiliency. What we saw yesterday is all of Dave Aranda. But if he's not that, you hire people that are not you. If you're looking around the room and everyone is exactly like you, you're not doing a great job. I think he's hired a good strength coach. I think he's got a great offensive coordinator. And I've never seen Spavital very energetic either. But you got Baker.
Keenan Hall.
You got Hall. You got guys that bring a lot of energy, but those are so they almost are to their position groups. And so as a defensive coordinator, as an offensive coordinator that doesn't seem like they exudes a lot of energy. I don't know where you get it from. I mean, Coach Belton, when I was at Baylor, he was a strength coach. He's waving towels, he's slapping guys on the butt, running up and down. I mean, but he did that at practice. And when we didn't finish runs, he would run on the field. And he's like, finish. Like, no, that's horrible. And Coach Browse let it happen. Coach Levy wasn't super energetic. Kendall Browse definitely was. Coach Browse was fun. I wouldn't say he was over energetic. But Phil Bennett, I mean, he will light you up.
Yeah.
And that team wasn't super great, but
let me make the connection here, Terrence, because as soon as you were talking about hiring someone, I made the connection. And sorry to do this to the segment of Baylor fans who this will deeply hurt. We didn't replace Joey McGuire.
We did not.
Joey McGuire was that guy on staff for Aranda. Joey McGuire was the guy on the staff for that championship team that did that. Okay. The hosts are yapping. Honored guest.
Well, just to comment on it, and we think about the NFL, look at the team, look at the coordinator that Dallas Cowboys let go. Dan Quinn, he's an energy guy, and look exactly what he did last year. Got the Washington Commanders into the conference finals, and they look very, very good against the New York Giants today. So
good point.
You want to hire guys that can bring energy, enthusiasm, and then hold guys accountable. And it doesn't need to be the head coach. It doesn't need to be the head coach, but it needs to be somebody, because at the end of the day, Jackson is 21, 22. Some days he doesn't want to do anything. He just wanted to lay. Maybe he's not that kid. I was. But as a college athlete, like, you got study, you got, relationships that you're trying to build. You don't want to practice football. You don't want to play the game. And so how do you manage expectations is, getting people ready and excited. And a lot of that is, it's not even real. It's like it's like those smelling salts. It only gives it, but you only need 15 minutes of it in college football. And maybe we need to bring smelling salts back. That's what we need to do, and we'll be fine.
Can't have them on the NFL sidelines anymore. So
you cannot.
You got to figure something out. Sneak some Mountain Dew in those Gatorade coolers. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, right? It's like this team seems like it gets pretty consistently punched in the mouth over and over again. But if we're going to, like Scotty, you were saying, right? Like, do we credit some of this to Aranda's personality? I think you also have to credit the fact that they very consistently peak in the fourth quarter, right? Like the fact that there is this sort of slow, consistent build of maybe we start out very calm, but because of that, there's, eventually a build of energy and intensity. Unfortunately, that build happens a little bit too late against those ranked teams most of the time, right? And so if you're playing against an Auburn or LSU or whoever, how do you not start from absolute zero?
Bingo.
And I think you have to credit both sides of that. But yeah, what strikes me as most interesting about this coaching staff is how much of a CEO Dave Aranda feels like. It feels like every individual position group operates independent. And I'm looking at this from the outside, right? Like, this isn't reporting, but it seems like the wide receivers and Dallas Baker work together, and the quarterback works with Jake Spavital, and, this group works with their guy, and this group works with their guy. And it, Aranda calls the defense, but it doesn't really feel like Dave Aranda's team all the time. It feels like Jake Spavital's offense, and it feels like maybe a Matt Powledge special teams unit. And is he still the special teams coordinator? I think so. But it does feel like it's just a little bit fractured. And if you're going to be the CEO guy, and it feels like Keenan Hall's recruiting. And so maybe he's the guy that ties everything together. And if you can
Mark Scott's the special
Mark
teams
Scott.
coordinator.
Okay.
Powledge is still, I think, DC on paper. That doesn't
officially the DC and safeties coach, I think. But if you can hold this bundle of sticks together and say, we're gonna keep everybody in the house, we're gonna do all this, that's fine. But my question becomes, if and when Jake Spavital gets a head coaching job somewhere, if and when Keenan Hall gets an increased job somewhere else, right? When these sort of name brand assistant coaches leave, is Dave Aranda leading the charge in a very clear direction, right? Because it seems like the recruiting took a big step forward when a certain guy got here. And it seems like the offense took a big step forward when a certain guy got here. And, Aranda comes in as this great defensive coordinator, great defensive mind. But there is a thought of, okay, he's at Wisconsin. they're going to be great in the trenches regardless. He's at LSU. They've got a lot of 5-stars in the trenches regardless. And so is something about his scheme a little dependent on the guys up front? And is that something that he can pivot, right? Because I don't know that Baylor's ever going to have a top 5 defensive line in the country. I just don't know that's going to happen in the way it'll happen at LSU and Wisconsin. Is he able to eventually pivot that either? I mean, hopefully at some point this year, in year 2 as the defensive play caller, is he able to pivot that when he doesn't have the Jalen Petrie guy at star anymore? They actually changed
Terrell
the
Bernard at linebacker.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so when you don't have those captains on the back end of the defense, you don't have the big guys in the front of the defense, you don't have Siaki Ika anymore. There's a lack of Jackie Marshall's great, but he got hurt. And so who's the captain on the field? And if you're not able to control the line of scrimmage, are you able to have success when you have that many guys in the back end so often? I think that remains to be seen. And so far, the answer looks like no.
Let me ask you this, Jackson, because again, I think Terrence and I have probably shared this, at least privately. Maybe not for you necessarily. Let's just say the average Baylor student who follows football. For the average Baylor student who follows football, what's the benchmark this season where Aranda is safe? What does Baylor need to accomplish?
Yeah, I would consider myself, I typically am defending him from, some sort of uninformed attacks mostly. So I'm more on that side of the aisle. But to me, if you win 7 regular season games with a loss to LSU, a loss to TCU and a loss in the bowl game, I think there's going to be an overwhelming wave of back. If you go 8-4 in the regular season, I don't think you can get rid of him. But from the way that I hear people around me talking, they might not be thrilled with 8-4, frankly. But
I wouldn't be thrilled with 8-4. I can rationalize keeping him at 8-4 if the class stays together.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be thrilled about it. I wouldn't feel good about it.
The problem to me is you've always lost at least one game that you shouldn't lose under Dave Aranda every season.
That's true.
You go even the championship season, right? Like you lose that game at TCU that probably should have been a loss, or it probably should have been a win. So I think there's probably one of those on the schedule. If you can get rid of that, things shift around real quickly. And I still think this team has the offensive talent and the offensive scheme in the Big 12 to make a run at a conference championship. But if they don't, I think that's going to be part of the problem.
Gentlemen, we are at time. This has been a delight. Jackson, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Final words, anything else we need to get off our chest here before we sign off? If you want to talk about Samford this weekend, either one of you, go for it. I'm expecting 63-3. Like, that's the kind of thing we need. Samford, have you looked this up? Somebody said this to me yesterday. I forgot the stat. They've not scored a touchdown yet this season.
They're real bad. Yeah.
They're not just small school. They're bad small school, right?
It seems like, looking into it, because they got blown out yesterday by by the Citadel. A famous almost beat Alabama about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Up at halftime. But they put up 13 in week 1. But this is a bad FCS team. I don't know.
So if they put up 20 on our defense, all of the alarm bells should continue going off. I would say my final thought. Somebody asked me this today, so I'll share it. I am really curious to see if this game goes the way I expect it to. Not just want it to, but expect it to. Expect it. You're going to yank Sawyer at halftime, probably with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Stats.
It's going to make the tweet look real good, though.
Terrence, look at me. At halftime, he will have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and we're going to sit his butt and give him some rest and give some other quarterbacks some reps. Thank you, Mrs. Cameron. Great show, guys. Go Bears, beat Samford. Really appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. By the way, I should have said this throughout the broadcast, but I'm really bad at this. There are 183 of you watching, and I don't even think I have that many subscribers yet on YouTube. Thank you for watching. It means a lot. Please watch every week. Do me a favor. Go to YouTube. Fine, please bear with me. If you're watching on Twitter especially, subscribe. I don't get to keep doing this show next year if you don't subscribe. I don't know. I don't know how to be more explicit about that. So please go subscribe. We love doing it. We would love to keep doing it. Go subscribe on YouTube. Okay, going back to what I was saying. Sawyer's going to get yanked at half with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Terrence Ganaway, I want to know who's playing. There are 3 quarterbacks in the last 2 depth charts listed as or for that number 2 spot. I will tell you, if it's not Walker White, I will be disappointed. I will be very disappointed. That means he is not living up to his potential. But I really want to see Walker White get some reps this week. That's what I want to see out of this game. I'm really, really fascinated. And here's why. Because if Walker White struggles to move the ball against Samford, he's not the guy, and we need to go quarterback hunting, potentially in the portal. I think Quinn Murphy's a dude, but I'd rather not start a true freshman this next fall. So let's see what Walker White's going to do.
Jackson, you said some really cool things. I do feel like this team is fragmented and is in silos, which you sometimes see that. So Baylor goes 8-4. He's retained. Most likely, a couple of those names you mentioned are gone. Spavital, if Sawyer is top 3, he's gone.
Yes,
somebody's going to offer.
He's going to go be a head coach.
So if there is a year that you need to go 11-1, is this year.
Agreed.
Like you need proof of concept. Consistent at DC, consistent at OC. This is the first time in Aranda's career that both coordinators came back. First time. I don't believe that will be the case next year. So if you don't win this year, this team blows up. Recruiting class does what it does. And then we're looking at what, a 6-6 team, 6-7 team next year, trying to figure out what our identity is. That's why it's so critical for not just to be a CEO, but to create an environment where it's plug and play. One of the things that we probably never see again is what Nick Saban did for all those years at Alabama. I mean, he lost coordinator after coordinator after coordinator, and they just kept getting better. Recruiting, players, more championship. I think there was a stat like if you played for 4 years for Alabama, you won a national championship. Like, that's unreal. And so to build a legacy, and Baylor, I don't think Baylor's trying to run through coaches. I think if Rule wanted to stay here, he would have been here 20 years. If Aranda wants to be here 20 years, I think he'll be here 20 years. But he has to figure out a blueprint of success in coordinating and getting the best guys in the best position to win as coaches. College is not getting the reps he needs as a defensive coordinator. That privilege was taken from him 2 years ago. So will somebody else come along, give him a smaller role where he can be a defensive coordinator and go, learn how to be a head coach? Like, you're going to lose guys. And so he's got to figure out that blueprint. And I would love to see some of that get established this year, because I do think it'll be tough to keep this team, whether good or bad. If we go 6-6 and everybody get fired, we're going to lose the coordinators anyways. So why not go 11-1 and blow it out of the water and have some fun while we're at it?
Well, and I'll throw out there too. I haven't heard people talking about this, but we want to talk about stakes for the season. I think Spavital's gone regardless. And then you lose on the offense: Sawyer Robertson, Josh Cameron, Ashton Hawkins, Cole Wilson,
maybe Bryson,
Kobe Prentice, probably Bryson, Michael Trigg, 3 of the offensive linemen.
You're
right?
done.
So everybody's gone, right? You lose
a fork in it.
And so if you don't have
Caden Knighton,
that's true. Yeah, it's you got one running back who looks like a stud, but broadly, it's a complete build from the ground up with a new offensive coordinator. And defensively, you lose basically everybody in the front 7, except for, DK Kalu and Keaton Thomas if he decides to stay for one more year. Outside of that, again, so much turnover. Next year is going to be a rebuilding year, unless Walker White or Edward Griffin is the next coming of Sawyer Robertson. And so I do think you're totally right. There are stakes on this year that go beyond just, is Dave Aranda coming back in 2026? Mm-hmm. This is sort of, where will the program be in 2026 if they're not able to have the success that they want to have?
Yeah, this is proof of concept year. Like, you got your guys, you got your coordinators, you got your team. Go win. I mean, you have everything. And so, I think we will continue to get better with getting game reps, but there needs to be an intentional focus too. So, that's my thoughts for the year. Jackson, it's been really great chopping it up with you too. I really enjoy. I mean, I wish I was more sports focused when I was in school. I was just trying to, make sure I was eligible to play. So, kudos, man, and enjoy living on campus. Are you a true senior, or you got another year?
I'm a true senior, and then probably going to grad school. So I'll be a fake adult after this.
All right, at Baylor.
We'll see.
All right, it better not be SMU or something like that nonsense.
No, we're sticking with Baylor if it's a real school.
I'm gonna try to talk him into it. After this. All right, everybody. We could do this for 5 more hours if we wanted. Well, Terrence and I could. I don't know Jackson that well, but we probably could. We're gonna sign off. Please, if you're watching, please, I wish I could offer you money to do it, but I have none. If you're on X, go to YouTube. Please bear with me. Subscribe. We only go live once a week. I may post 2 or 3 clips from today's episode. I'm not going to blow you up if you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We do go live the rest of the season every Sunday night at 5 o'clock. So come back next week. We'll react to the Samford game, get ready for Arizona State together. Come by the Camp Fimfo tailgate this Saturday, 8 a.m., baby. We'll go live for Green and Gold game day again. I'll be there. I may talk Jackson into being there. If not this week, maybe another time. Faith, Matt Mosley, the whole squad, Rogue Media will be out there tailgating at Camp Fimfo. Thanks again to Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath in Waco. If you're looking to remodel, especially an outdoor space, outdoor kitchen, update your bath. They do a lot of the senior living. If you've got mom or dad living with you, they need a handicap accessible bathroom. Dude, call my friend Kelly, Gather & Co. Bath and Kitchen. Would appreciate it. Tell them Scotty sent you at Rogue. Then we can get another contract with them too. So subscribe on YouTube. Sign a contract with Gather & Co. We'll keep doing the show. That's how it works, isn't it? Jackson, you're the man. Thank you so much. Everybody make sure to check out Jackson at by Jackson Posey on X for all the takes, the Baylor Lariat. Terrence Ganaway, you're the man. Love you. We'll talk to you next week. This has been Please Bear With Me.
We are Rogue Media Sports.